Whether it's at the sportsbook or anywhere else in the casino, he's always helping us find an edge. It's time for Fezzik Fridays.
Steve Fezzik, everybody. At Fezzik Sports on Twitter. Follow him at your own peril. But here is a much nicer version. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I won 5 other contests. That wasn't the only contest that I won.
Sorry, I'll name them all next time.
Reminiscing the Bears in Covington, Kentucky. I'm reminiscing because I grew up in Dayton. When we would drive down to watch the Big Red Machine down I-75 to Cincinnati, my father, at least once a year, would miss the exit. So we'd go over the bridge to Covington and have to U-turn back to find our way to downtown Cincinnati.
It's the only time I've been in Covington, Kentucky, too. I was in Cincinnati. Same thing, like, oh, let's see what's over the bridge. Oh, great. Okay, we drove back.
But there's a restaurant right on the river there that overlooks Cincinnati, and it's
beautiful.
It's just beautiful. I was there with my college roommate, Samar Hassan, cardiovascular surgeon galore, just one of the smartest people I've ever met. Went to Northwestern and roomed with him my sophomore year, and he wound up in Covington for a while.
Wow. Okay. We have a lot to talk about. Can I start with a couple of listener questions for you?
Absolutely.
The first one is from Roger Lancaster. Said, "Are we sure Fezzik will follow the no swearing sign rules?"
No.
Okay.
But I think you could bet the no minus 400. Plus, they're good. They know Dr. Bob and I, might let something slip.
Potty mouse, both of them.
Where's Dr. Bob?
All of his picks, the line moved too much, so he had nothing to share.
No value. No, we believe the sports book shouldn't be taking one wager.
You don't want to come on and talk about stale lines.
I love Dr. Bob because he used to give out like all these 3 stars because
yes,
the line would be off by 6 points and the like. And now
he doesn't do it at all anymore, does he?
And you know why? Because no play is worthy of a 60%. So he is like a paragon of virtue.
He is.
None of this Battlestar Galactica game of the Galaxy game of the century for him. He's a great guy.
Turn off your phone, Stevie. Jesus.
Rookie.
Douglas.
I just put off.
We'll all wait together while you get it settled. Douglas Fleming at the Duggar 22. And he's in the top 5 of the Westgate College contest with 2 weeks to go. Interested in your thoughts on how to hedge, a contest with 7 picks each week. It's virtually impossible.
Virtually impossible. The only thing I can do is you could sell a piece of yours. You could say, obviously, you could say that if the contest finished right now, I would get the 80,000 or whatever the number is. And you could go out and say, hey, you want to buy 10% of me? And I'll give you, I'll assume it's worth 7th place. That would be my approximation if you were looking for an unbiased estimator, of what it would be worth. I've got 2 entries that are like in 50th place. So I get the great joy to have to go ahead and play 7 crappy spreads and go oppo and try to catch up to the bear, who's currently, I think, in 5th place and the like, because only the top 10 make the money. So despite being 12 games above 500, I'm almost donezo with my entries.
Millions, you are 35 and 20. One of your entries, 66th out of 6,000. 35 and 20. You have a 33 and 22 also?
Yes. So plenty of time. The 33 and 22 is like scuffling along, but 35 and 20, is in the money. And
God, you're terrible at this. 66th, you're awful.
It's funny. I had Steven Fats, the real Fats, has a contest where he bets a coin flip against people in the contest, basically saying that people in the contest on average are going to pick below 50%. And I said, this is the most ridiculous thing ever. So I've got all 5 of my entries. I've got $100 against this coin, and this coin is 31 and 24. Amazing.
You are out of Survivor, though, right?
I am.
Mr. Smug with Survivor doesn't pay much attention. Just going, well, you're out.
In retrospect, I erred. I mean, I wound up taking Carolina. I probably should have taken Chicago because so many people took Carolina, even though they were 5.5-point favorite. The Bears are 4.5-point favorite. So I actually think I'm out, and I think I made a mistake. I think I played poorly.
Steve, can we rack that, by the way? Would you say that again slowly?
I made a mistake. I took Carolina, and I underestimated how many people were going to take it. If I would have known, I would have taken the Bears. I would have been alive.
Oh, back to there's also one thing back to the Millions contest or any handicapping contest. I always say on this show, unless you're at 60%, you're not even allowed to talk about it. You go even further. 60%, you're not even in it.
What happens, I will say things on the show.
Yeah.
And I've got contest experts I interact with, and every one of us is like, oh, that's trivial. We don't even need to talk about that. It's obvious.
Yeah.
And yet, everyone will disagree with me on Twitter, and like I'll say things like, if you go 3-2 in a contest, that's terrible. You have negative equity. If week 1 you start 3-2, and yet the mainstream, everyone's like, that's right where you want to be. It's like 60% isn't going to cash, and guess what? You go 3-2 for 11 weeks, you're basically eliminated. You can't win first or second anymore. Look at this Potato Commish guy. He was like 39-11 at one point.
Let's go, Potato Commish. Get it done.
Go, Potato Commish.
Go.
Is he from Boise? I hope so.
I don't know where he's from, but I hope he gets to the promised land.
I love that potatoes, like Idaho, good potatoes.
Yeah.
Versus was it Vermont, live free or die? That's
right.
A drastic state.
Are you watching the American Revolution doc, Ken Burns? It's so fascinating.
We'll talk about that in April, Gill.
In April, that's right.
Yeah,
no time to talk about it now. We got to talk about F1. We got to talk about Kelly at Resorts World. We'll get to all that. Give us your picks. You have an NFL play. You like a big favorite.
Yeah, so it may have moved because the Giants, Dart isn't playing. But
by the way, I do have a clarification on that. He did not get out of concussion protocol, so it was out of the Giants' hands. Giants were not even allowed to make the decision. It is Jameis Winston. Dart not cleared to play.
What is it? Stormy's clip. She's like, well, they're the Giants, and they don't do things that make sense.
Yeah.
like take their franchise quarterback, and after he gets concussed and hurt, maybe let him recuperate. But I laid 10.
It has gone to 13, just like that.
No, thank you. Can't be laying 13.
Jameis 3 points worse than Dart. Really? Is that what we're going with?
I'm not even sure Jameis. Well, Jameis has a lot of volatility and variability, but there's no way that Jameis is like a backup quarterback. He's like a -3, and Dart is like maybe a -0.5, a little bit worse than an average quarterback. So 2.5 points, but moving from 10 to 13, I can't do it. So I got to scratch that one. So no play.
No play. You're like the Dr. Bob of pro football now. How about a college play for us?
Good discipline. It's like Norman Chad in poker. Good discipline folding the ace jack. College, North Carolina +7 against Duke. I think Carolina can win. I see two teams going in opposite directions. Despite Jordan Hudson, the North Carolina Tar Heels are improving weekly, whereas Duke, no defense, and they were playing at a very high level earlier in the year. So, Tar Heels +7.
Tar Heels +7. Okay. We have talked about the fact that it's a sports equinox where all the sports came together when baseball was still going on. There's baseball, there's basketball, there's hockey, there's football, obviously, all kinds of football. Let me just ask you about the sports equinox. So many sports to bet from, but you are a proponent of honing in on just one.
Yeah, so like Todd Wishnev is crushing it playing. Talk about niche. He doesn't just play college basketball. He plays college basketball live, all right? And he was at like 65% for the year last time I checked, all documented. And it's just the right way to go. It's like everyone's distracted with the NBA, with football, with F1, etc. So the odds makers just can't keep track of all of this. And because of that, if you just on your own primary betting, what you're handicapping, just handicap one sport and one niche, and you're going to win. Now that doesn't mean you can't get Carl Sachs NBA and like you get his play, boom, boom, you put it in.
Yeah.
You have set it and forget it, so to speak.
That's right.
But really focus on one sport, and you'll be better than the odds. How could you not be? They're doing 8 sports at once.
Here's a question for you regarding that from the numbers guys. Is this an okay question to ask Fez when you're tailing Todd's live plays? Oh, this is going to be a dependent question, numbers guy. Depends on kind of answer. He says, what's the demarcation point for tailing versus holding off? The spread is often different, and then the odds can go bonkers as well. Any insight appreciated? I think that you can't really answer that statically.
But I can answer it in general terms. And sometimes, by the way, I catch crap on Twitter also because I say things.
No.
It's never right to kick a field goal, like 4th and goal from the one early in the game.
You are way too much of an absolutist on stuff.
Well, but here's why. I understand if there's a minute left, whatever, that's different. But like it's the second quarter, you have 4th and goal from the one. You can be the world's worst offense against the 1985 Chicago Bears. And every Monte Carlo simulation says, even though you're only going to make the touchdown a third of the time, it's still correct. All right. So and I use the blackjack analogy that if you have 16 against a 7, the count can be sky high or super negative. Either way, you're going to hit. It's just a hit. It's not even close, in terms of, and people argue with me, no, it's the matchups and it's important. And that's where these coaches get everything wrong. And we see that like all the time with these coaches' decisions. Lafayette last night, punting 4th and 3 from the opponent's 37. It's just wrong at every level. It doesn't matter what the matchup is, etc. It just drives me crazy. I forgot your question. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I forgot the question. We were just talking about Todd's lines, what he gives. What's the demarcation point?
So what I like to do, obviously, if there's 3 minutes to go, 1 point is like vitally important.
Massive,
all right. But like if it's halfway through the first half and he says play over 77 and a half, and you've got 78 and a half, I tend to want to play it anyways, but I'll play it for half of what I normally play. And that's just...
Okay, but that's what I mean. It's dependent on everything, all the variables.
Right. But in general, I'd say don't get shut out, but put something down as long as you can get a number close to his.
Last one here before the break. Poke therapy. Question for Fez. I was in Amsterdam and played blackjack at the casino. Is it normal that the dealer would not pull their second card until everyone was done with their hands? Is that a European thing?
Yeah, the European rules are a little bit different, so you got to be careful. I think if you double down and they pull a blackjack, you can lose. So check the rules. One thing quickly about blackjack, 6 to 5 is such a ripoff, but still better than a single green roulette.
Fez, F1, and Resorts World rants next. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Love y'all. Appreciate every tweet. Money Gun Guz. For all the stale Lions circa million contestants, Lions this week will be the number 1 team selected, as DraftKings now has the Giants plus 12.5, and line is 10 for millions. Well, yeah, we're showing 13s now.
Heck, it's the number 1 even when it's not a stale line. People love those Lions in good spots, laying the wood. Cancer free from stage 4.
Worst person I ever interviewed. We're talking about worst person ever interviewed before. He said, this will come as no shock. Albert Bell. I never tried one-on-one because I knew how that would turn out, but with a few other people, tried it expecting the results we got. He is also, though, however, the greatest player to never make the Hall of Fame, or at least one of them. Just look at his stats. How is that guy not in the Hall of Fame? Maybe because the reporters just couldn't stand him.
You know who should be in the Hall of Fame? Milwaukee Slugger Greg Vaughn, because he's just a great guy.
Just because he's your neighbor. That's right.
I was talking to him last night. He's the greatest guy. Yeah.
Trip Tepper talking about, I was talking about Jokic and all his stats. He says, Gill, you mentioned Akeem Olajuwon. For my money, he's one of the 20 best players in NBA history. He's criminally underrated as a center forward who could face the basket and deliver devastating post moves. Somehow he got lost in NBA lore. Well, for those of us who were around when Akeem played, none of us disagree with anything you're saying. One of the greatest ever, Akeem Olajuwon, both on a college and professional level. And Akeem Olajuwon, one of the greatest dudes ever, too, because he fully admits, he's like, if Michael doesn't leave, maybe we don't win either championship.
Yeah, and arguably the greatest college basketball team of all time.
Easy. They didn't win a championship.
Well, there's that, isn't there? Right?
As we used to say when Georgetown beat them, Phi Slamma ain't worth a damn. Is what we used to say. PAW. Jokic was similar to those stats over more than Shaq, Duncan, and Paul. I didn't say Paul, I said Kid, by the way. On January 2nd last season and was not the favorite for MVP. SGA may have better record. Tread lightly, says in Walter White voice. Yeah, but I think that was the year they didn't want to give it to Jokic. Can't have him winning too many of these. I think we're okay giving it to Jokic.
Didn't Georgetown beat Kentucky and they were the greatest college basketball team also?
Georgetown beat Kentucky in the semis.
Turpin and Bowie team, and they put a lid on the basket in the second half.
That's right. Kentucky barely scored in the second half.
And Kentucky had like 5 NBA players and was just incredible. And Kyle Macy and 2 other great dudes.
Turpin was on their team. Yeah, and then the next year, Georgetown loses to Villanova in the finals, which was the upset of all time, at least in terms of the narrative, maybe not by point spread. Because Villanova played them twice earlier that year. It's from your buddy Weston, guy in the cornfield, says, enjoying my road trip drive, listening to the greatest aggregator alive. Don't steal my lines. Don't steal Todd Wishnev's lines, Weston. On VSiN with Gill, the only back-to-back Hilton Super Contest winner, future sports gambling Hall of Famer, and overall national treasure.
the irony is, like, I would bet the no for future Sports Hall of Fame. Like, at least while I'm alive, I think that's a great bet. It's like they're never letting me in that thing. I really,
You're the Albert Bell of the Sports Gambling Hall of Fame.
well, the fact is, I aggregate. Like, Crackman would be the first guy to tell you, like, I originate all the time with and I've got my power ratings, etc. I do want to say, Westman, what's great is, like, all these hot air people, like we have a bet, who's going to do better in the VSiN Invitational. We're both, like, in approximately in the same area in the standings here, right in the middle right now. So that's great. So many people like they talk the big game. Look at me, big man. And there's one other fellow I always offer people, if you think you can hit 57% in the contest, I will bet you that you cannot. And Ben Giles took me up on it, $3,000.
There you go.
Yeah, so guys, there are guys stepping up, and including Westman. Good for him.
Jason Stark would like to correct you. Vermont is not the live free or die state. It's New Hampshire.
Same thing.
It's their don't say that. It's their state motto and on the signs when you enter the state. Can you accurately name Vermont and New Hampshire on the map?
No. They're like, and I always get confused when when I see Maryland Eastern Shore. So there must be a Western Shore, which confuses me. The river, the bay,
the western shore of the bay, I guess. Todd Wishnev, to the question from the numbers guys about what the demarcation line is, he goes, "I can give you a better answer than Fezzik." Wishnev says on there, and on with the tweets. We'll get to something else coming up here as well. All right, your chance to rant. This is going to be a very local rant here, ladies and gentlemen, but I apologize in advance. F1 is in town. Year number 3. Arash Markazi has tweeted a text from a friend who works with one of the F1 teams that is in town for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Quote, "I think the drivers hate this race almost as much as the locals," unquote. Well, why do they hate it? Because it's at night and it's cold and it could be wet kind of thing?
Could be dangerous. Driving at midnight, around, obviously.
They're tired.
They have to have this race at midnight, and they have it in 45 degrees, so it's got, like, more likely that there's going to be some kind of problem that could happen.
It is the coldest of all the F1s.
It's the TV contract that while they're having their croissants in France, they want to be, have to be able to watch the race, and so it's the morning in Europe.
Annual rant, go.
Annual rant is just, no one wants this. We're supposed to be living in a democracy. If there was a vote in Vegas,
that's right,
80% plus, and we can't get 60% on anything that makes sense. It would be 80%. We don't want this. The local businesses lose money because of all the construction. They're building these highways and bridges over roads, overpasses, and then they tear them back down, and there's just a tremendous disruption of business for 2 days of more activity, and there's just no way it could possibly justify the extra revenue in 2 days for the 6 weeks of disruption tearing it back down afterwards.
Yes.
And yet why is there not an independent economic study done? Not someone who's in the back pocket of the Clark County Commission that just says, here's the disruption cost and here's the extra revenue, and hey, it's a great postcard for the city for 2 days on TV. But you compare the two. Everyone knows it's a bad idea.
I agree with everything you're saying. I will say this. It would take some kind of intrepid reporter, right? Like you're talking about. But they're probably doing the risk reward assessment for their own lives, right? Where they're like, well, if I do this, everybody's going to hate me. And my life in this town is ruined, and this kangaroo court of a town is ruined.
Exactly, because you'll get blackballed.
Yes.
And if you did the analysis just for the weekend of the race, of course it's going to benefit, Las Vegas. But it's the month before where it's nothing but negatives. There's no positives.
You're right. I've gone to restaurants around the strip that are standalones where pedestrians can't get to them. So they are empty for weeks in advance. Year 1 was worse, by the way. Let's be objective about that.
They've gotten much better.
But
no doubt.
Still, to your point, and by the way, to the notion that everyone benefits from this, the win and the encore, when your brand is commensurate with F1, meaning you're a high-end brand, you do benefit way more than, say, New York does, right? or some of the other properties on Strip.
If you're coming to Vegas for a $2.99 hot dog, you're probably not going to spend $1,000 to be freezing in the bleachers. For an average seat.
You're right, man. Will there ever be an expose done on which politicians?
30 years from now, there's no question they'll look back on this as being the greatest scam, boondoggle, and here's the people that got kickbacks to let this happen.
Took me 30 minutes to get home, and all the shower water was cold this morning, and that's completely F1 related. Whatever happens on the Strip and messes with the pipes and everything, that I'm telling you, affects all of us. Okay, the other big scandal in town, of course, is Kelly Bidlin versus Resorts World, which now we hear Resorts World is giving them some favors at the end because they're apologizing.
I believe it's, well, Kelly would have to chime in, but I believe it's completely independent that the marketing department believes Kelly is betting an average of $175 per hand. That's a good customer to invite. So here, never mind that he's not allowed to play that $175 per hand. So listen, Kelly got backed off. They told him, "Hey, you're cool. We like you. You just can't play blackjack."
He lost $2,000.
Yes,
and they backed him off anyway.
Right. And here's what's wrong with it. One is, and people, it's funny. People on Twitter like Kelly would be the first to admit he's smarter than the average bear, but he's no pro playing blackjack. All right. If I gave him a quiz, and gave him, all right, Kelly, you got ace 7 and the dealer has an ace up, he'd say, I think I'm supposed to stand. We wouldn't be sure, with things like that. The marginal, the close plays. And he pays attention.
If Kelly was here to defend himself, I think he would defend himself as a better blackjack player than you're reflecting.
Well, I will give him a quiz and see. I played blackjack with Kelly. Kelly's very good. He's better than 99% of the people out there. But he's not. Okay. So he's a triple A, baseball blackjack player, all right?
Okay.
But the point is, if he was pushing the envelope, what most resorts that know what they're doing, they give him a little bit of a notice before they'll have someone sweating the game. A pit boss will be hawking it, staring at him. If he asks for a comp, they won't give it to him. Those are little clues. Hey, you know what? You're pushing this. We don't know if we want you as a customer to just come out of the blue and just say, we don't want you to play at all. They are doing it completely wrong. It's kind of like the battle between the advantage players and the casino. They should have given him the warning, and that's how you warn someone.
Also, I like Kelly's point. He'll correct me if I'm mischaracterizing it, but he's one-on-one, and obviously you almost can't help but notice the card count when you're one-on-one.
If you see 7 little cards, you're going to bet more. Anyone would.
But his point is he's also playing for hours at bad hand counts, so they should afford him that luxury to just every once in a while, hey,
I'm sure he was probably playing a winning game and he had an expectation of $20 an hour. The place is empty, you shoot a can and you don't hit nothing, and it brings in more players.
Stop tweeting and saying he's not a good blackjack player. Be nice.
Have you submitted your millions yet?
No.
Good, so you can use Detroit minus 10.5. That's why we don't play the Thursday game right there.
There you go. Yeah. No, you're right. You're looking for perfect, as you've said many times before, you're looking for perfect information.
Yes.
As perfect as you can get. And so the closer you get to the deadline, the better is essentially there. By the way, the little NFL update we talked about, for those who missed it, no Jackson Dart this week. He did not pass through concussion protocol. He is not cleared to play. So Jameis Winston is going to start for the Giants. That line has moved to Detroit, minus 12.5, minus 13 in that range. And then as far as the Bengals are concerned, the other big line movement of the week, where now the Patriots are 6-point favorites on the road against Cincinnati because of this nebulous, very vague, is Joe Burrow playing or not? Here's the latest. This is from Zach Taylor, head coach of the Bengals. Zach Taylor says he has not made a decision yet on Joe Burrow playing Sunday. This is from Paul Denner Jr. on Twitter. Quote, feel comfortable waiting as long as we can with this decision, unquote. Taylor says that Burrow has, quote, done everything he can to try to make himself ready to go, unquote. So again, very, very gray area, non-committal language from Zach Taylor on this. I don't know if it's gamesmanship. I don't know what it is, but there you go.
Market says he's playing because it's cratered from 8.5 down to 6.
By the way, on that vague note right there, it has bounced the other direction now up to 6.5 a tick. So we've gone up to 9, down to 5 in some few places, and now back to 6.5.
I think 5 with Burrow, 9 without him sounds right to me. Burrow obviously would be worth 6 points, but he's not 100%, so he's probably worth 4.
You just, off air, you just gave Kelly a blackjack test? How'd that go?
2 questions. Of course, they're extremely difficult questions, but they wouldn't be difficult for Anthony Curtis or for, a blackjack pro. Kelly Was unable to answer the two questions. But and so my point is, if they're kicking Kelly out, they're probably kicking out dozens and dozens of losing blackjack players, and they have no customers. Sharp, Resorts World, real sharp.
Can you try to be nicer in your tweets when you talk about this?
Voldemort.
Not offend anyone like Kelly. This is Arash Markazi again on Twitter. This is back to the F1 stuff. You can stay at the Flamingo tonight for $8, $57 with resort fees, and get a general admission ticket to the Las Vegas Grand Prix for $36. So the prices on these strip hotels, like it did, I believe, last year and the year before. So right now, offers, these are some other hotel rates tonight before the absurd $55 resort fee. Caesar's Palace, $30. The Cromwell, $26. Paris, $20. The Link, $8. And we just mentioned the Flamingo. And the reason for this is because once you're in, you are trapped. You can't get out. So it's just a cluster, you know what.
I since I'm a 7-star and I love Caesars, so I get off I-15 for those not in Vegas, and I got into Flamingo, and if you hit the boulevard, that's where the racetrack is, you're donezo. But before the racetrack, that's where the VIP valet is. For Caesars on the left, for Bellagio on the right, and that's your out. That's your way. That way you can get in. But if you don't have the access to that, I have no idea as a tourist, how the heck would you be able to get to your hotel? That's where the race is.
I live right on the Strip. I have a 5 p.m. curfew today and tomorrow and yesterday. Okay, and Buddy V's Pizza. What were you talking about, Buddy V's Pizza?
Yeah, just the gouging in Vegas. So you can get a room for $8, but you want a slice of pizza at Caesars, Buddy V's, good pizza, $12 for a slice. But there's so many deals in Vegas. So I was at the Pizza Rock. They have gourmet, expensive pizza, but you can get a 10-inch pizza for $7. And if you use your points and you're a senior on Wednesday, it's half point day. So basically, I got 3 pizzas for $12, or you can do 1 slice for $12. There's a big disparity in pricing in Vegas.
All right, last night, Thursday Night Football, we talked about it earlier. The Texans and the Bills, we went through it blow by blow. Just an amazing game that stayed under 23-19 Texans. It doubled, by some accounts, the Texans' playoff chances in terms of their probability of making it. Bills still very high probability, 87% in terms of making the postseason. The big, one of the big moments in the game, if not the biggest, was it looked like Buffalo was done for. They looked like they were in jail, and this was going to be Houston's win. It did end up being Houston's win some 30 plus seconds later, but 4th and 27. 4th and 27. Let me make sure I'm getting it. I want to get the exact, 4th and 27 at their own 29 with 51 seconds left. They go to the old hook and lateral.
15-yard pass on a 27, needing 27.
Allen to Palmer for 11, lateral to Shakir for 33 more.
And, this one play shows how the good coach versus the fossils. Obviously, every coach knows you got to be aggressive 4th and 27, but this works so often despite the defense knowing it's coming. Imagine if you ran this play when the defense didn't know it was coming, as far as just a regular play, how effective it could be. And also it shows these coaches like 3rd and 15 and they run a draw and they just give up and punt. No, I mean, when you punt, you're turning the ball over. Why not try something like this much, much, much more often?
Has the hook and lateral ever failed?
No, like the Dolphins won to Mark Duper.
Was it Nat Moore or Mark Duper? Then flipped it to Tony Nathan.
It literally, when it fails, it's never the defense stopping it. It's poor execution on the offense.
Obviously, the Bills still didn't get to the promised land because some more sacks 8 and 9. Torpedo them, and then finally a false start, 4th and 6 at their own 20. At the Houston 22. Allen picked by Bullock. Still a flag we had to endure there to see where the flag was, and it was a PI on the offense. So Houston gets it done. I'll be curious to see what percentage of survivors were on the Bills in this ball game.
I think very little, just because there were so many other spots.
But it'll be a group.
They'll certainly be there. With the hook and ladder, one time Kelsey just improvised it and it worked for a touchdown. There was a penalty on the play.
He did it on his own.
So the fact that they can just draw it up in the sand or in the moment do it and it works. Imagine if they practiced it and actually did it.
Although that wasn't a hook and lateral, though. By the way, colloquial known as the hook and ladder, as we said earlier. But that was just Kelsey caught the ball, ran upfield, and then saw a teammate and was like, here you go.
Laterals are massively underutilized towards the sideline because they're very little risk. If it fails, it just goes out of bounds. Also, my pet peeve, and everyone will do this in 10 years. It's like 3rd and 2. The players know they should dive for the pylon, but these running backs don't dive for the first down marker. The quarterbacks do. They reach the ball out. The running backs do need to be trained. You always get an extra yard when you risk the fumble. And so what if you fumble? The ball just gets knocked out of bounds. They should all dive for the out-of-bounds marker.
If you've ever been jealous about not being on the group text exchange with Steve Fezzik, this is the kind of riveting, get-off-my-lawn commentary
Have they ever seen a football game before, Gill?
This
ever?
guy,
How can Lafayette punt 4th and 3 from the 37?
He so much bothers him. It's unbelievable. Okay, last thing before you go. Kelly and I do our power ratings every week, like we did this week. Aaron Schatz does his DVOA every week. We talked about it a lot this week, both from a this year perspective, Seattle #1, and from a historical perspective. Lots of historical. I even texted Aaron this morning. I was like, have we ever seen this many historical contextual stuff in 1 week? And he's not sure if we have, because we had tons of those this week. You do your own power rankings every week, and yours are noteworthy. How?
Everybody is tied for #1 right now. So
define everybody.
You could make a case that Philly, Kansas City, Baltimore, Rams, Seattle, and then right below them, Buffalo, Indy, Detroit. All of those teams are within a point and a half. And those first 5 teams I listed, they're all like within a quarter point of each other. It is unprecedented to have, like, if you ask me, what's the best team in the NFL? No idea.
So how many teams did you just rattle off? Say them again.
Yeah, so right now I got the Rams and Seattle as my top 2 teams by decimal points, but Philly, Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo, and Indy are right there as well.
That's 7 teams.
Yes.
So who notably is not close to those of the teams that are considered good this year?
Denver. Denver's got the good record, but they're a couple points below.
Denver's a couple points below.
Yes.
Who else?
I got Green Bay 3 points below because they're injured.
Okay.
And your Niners, because they're injured, are nowhere in the conversation.
Why did you say my Niners? Not my Niners.
Yeah.
Where was New England in that group of 7?
New England is just below, and that's the only reason, Gil, is I still carry some priors, and maybe I shouldn't at this point in time. All right,
okay.
And their strength of schedule is so weak that I just couldn't put them in the same category.
But so those 7 teams being bunched up at the top in the history of you doing power rankings, which was since the dawn of time, you don't ever remember that this deep into a season.
I never remember having 3 teams like tied. I mean, like normally. So the takeaway: who's going to win the Super Bowl?
We have no idea.
The path is critical. Getting home field is critical towards being favored to make the Super Bowl.
And that's where the Patriots have a leg up, right in the AFC.
100%.
Schedule or not, it doesn't matter. They've got the leg up on that #1 seed. In the NFC, murky as well. But the AFC as a 17 playoff group, good God.
It's going to be the best playoffs.
Throw them up in the air.
Ever. And this is a great example why I love expanded playoffs, college, NFL, etc. Because you know what? If you only have 4 great teams, so what? They'll make the Final 4.
Thank you, Stevie.
Thanks for watching, but don't let the betting insights end here. If you want an extra edge this football season, you can get a month of VSiN Pro right now, absolutely free. That means access to our betting insights, analysis, and tools like our betting splits at 0 cost to you. Click the link in the description to sign up.